Howdy, Redesert Boy here. Hey, I thought today we'd talk a little bit about a couple of guns that maybe people wouldn't think of nowadays, and particularly I want to talk about kind of from a perspective of everything's gone up in price. There's inflation and everything going on. Everybody's like, oh, look, the Fed's going to cut rates. Oh, inflation is slowing down. Well, the inflation already happened, and most of us, have noticed that, there's a couple things, maybe gasoline's a little cheaper right now, but overall, nothing has come back down in price. It rents, houses, cars, all that kind of stuff, grocery store. So same thing for those of us that are like hobbyist enthusiasts like me that like have firearms as a hobby. Prices have gone up and they really haven't come down. And it used to be you could go in a store and you might find an older revolver or something for like between $300 and $400. All those now are like classics. They're all like $650 or $700 or $750. So unless you just happen to run across it, I have, but it's not very common. So if you don't like revolvers, you want a semi-auto, you're like, I really just want a 9mm because that's the caliber. It's the most probably universally used one nowadays. A lot of it growing out of the fact of the Glock, and of course the Beretta 92 and so forth. That's really caused that to be really the caliber of choice. So especially for defense purposes. So anyway, let's talk about a couple of them. I got my Sig Sauer Legion hat on. These are not Legion. Don't know where my Sig Sauer hat is, but these are both Sig Sauers. Now, these are both the first two 9mm I bought. Still have them. Really like them. They're both full-size guns. One's kind of a little bit of a compact. It's a little smaller, so it makes it a little easier for maybe carrying it. But they're both Sig Sauers. So let's take a look at them. Now, these Sig Sauers are both what you would call double action, single action, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's get the magazine out of it. Okay, let me wrap the slide to show this is in. Okay, and this one is it has a decocker on it to lower the hammer safely, right? And this is a Sig Sauer P226 MK25, and it has the anchor on here because this is a gun that Sig was contracted to supply to the Navy SEALs, and so they have a version of it. It's available to the public. It's nice. It has a nitron finish on it. It's got polymer grip, but it has a alloy frame and steel barrel and steel slide. It's got some nice Sig Lite night sights, which are also pretty easy to see in the daytime. It's got a 1913 or Picatinny rail there. It's got some nice stippling in here and on here as well. Grip texture's pretty decent, and of course it has a slide lock, and it's got the decocking device. This one, because it was from California, also has a loaded chamber indicator, which some people may not like. Sometimes it can cause a little issues trying to get it to fit properly in a holster. So the reason why I bring this up is, these are not, people don't run into the store and they go, oh man, have you got a bunch of Sig, P226 MK25s that I want to buy? First of all, this is pretty much all metal gun except for the polymer grip, right? And originally, when I got it, it had 10-round magazines because I was in California. These are 15. You can get ones, that can be up to like 20 rounds. Okay, so that's if you're in a place or a state that allows that. One thing about this one, besides having the loaded chamber indicator, which I think that might have been part of the requirements for it being there in California and a couple of other states, they make that version. And this is a 9mm. This one also has what they call a mag. It has a mag disconnect safety. So what it means is that normally when you fire this gun, right? You're gonna, because it's double action, single action, right? It's gonna have a very heavy trigger pull. We've checked this unloaded, okay? We'll fire it here and put it in a safe direction. And we come back and it goes. And then you're gonna have a little reset. Normally the gun's going to cycle. If I was to cycle it right now, it would lock open because I have the magazine in there and it's empty. But if we were to have it cycle, right? If we had a way to make it cycle, right? It goes back, right? And say the magazine was still in there. Now it's in the single action mode. See how much farther back the trigger is right there? The trigger's much lighter trigger. So initially it's going to be, I don't remember what it is. It's probably 6 to 8 pounds or more. This one is maybe more like 10 or 12 almost. And the second one, much lighter. These are probably only about 4 pounds maximum. And of course, when you pull the trigger, it's going to fire. And it's going to have a little reset and so forth as it cycles. What the mag disconnect does, for some reason you have ammunition in the chamber, and the magazine gets released. I think the thinking was if somebody was, in a hand-to-hand where somebody's trying to get the gun from them, they could release the mag. And then what happens is when the magazine is not in the gun, notice I can't make the double action happen, right? If I was to cycle this guy, it won't fire because it doesn't have the magazine in there. So that's only on this particular Sig P226 MK25. I don't believe all of them were made that way. That probably has to do something with the state that it was sold in originally. And then we can decock it to get it back to a safe condition. So, nice gun. It's got what they call a high bore access. Some people don't like that, especially if they like shooting Glocks or CZs or something like that. But it does shoot very well, very reliable, very hardy. Never had really any issues with it. Requires a larger hand, so it's not the best for people with smaller hands. But hey, maybe it's an option for you and you're looking for a used one. New ones I think are still about $1,100. I think I paid about $850 or $900 for this new. Pardon me for a moment. Point being is that people maybe wouldn't think of these. Maybe somebody's got some new ones they've had forever. Maybe you'll find a deal on it. Just something to think about. Just in these inflationary times, if it's something you're trying to do, let's find something that does good home defense for you and stuff. 7.7 inches overall length, 1.5 inches wide. It's 5.5 inches tall. It's got a 6.3 inch sight radius, and it weighs 34 ounces. So, and it's got a 4.4 inch barrel. So real nice, good gun. Holsters. This is an inside the waistband Galco holster. It's a heavier gun. So I got one with double clips. That's my preference when I have a heavier gun. I also have a Phobos paddle holster that it fits in, right? Secures it pretty nicely. And then I happen to also have a drop leg holster. So just something to make you aware of. Okay, let's talk about the other one. The other one is this one. If you look at it just for a moment, let's compare them for a moment. You'll see that this one, let's see if I got it the right direction, is a bit shorter. The barrel and everything is a little shorter than the other one because this is a 3.9 inch barrel, so it's a little bit more compact. Still has the pick rail, still has the extra Sig Lite night sights. It's also a double action, single action. Does not have a loaded chamber indicator. And so it's double action, single action. Let's check it. Unloaded, right? Nothing in the magazine. Nothing in here. Put that back in there. Works the same way, right? You fire the round. It's a very heavy trigger pull initially. And then what happens is, and I'm gonna just drop the mag out for a second so I can cycle the gun. Because what's going to happen is normally the mag stays in there. What's going to happen is it's going to cycle and then it's going to be in this position. When you come back, it resets, very light reset. Then it takes much less pull of the trigger to fire the gun, right? So heavy trigger pull on the first one, light one after that. That's why some people do not like DASAs. They're not the same trigger pull all the time, like say a Glock or some other striker fired gun, or like a 1911. By the way, this SP2022, which I think SP stood for Sig Pro, some of them also came in 40 millimeter years ago. They're only in 9 now. They're around, I think, about $600 or something like that. You might find them. You used to find them for like $400 or $300 used, but I think new they're still like $600 or $700. But they're cheaper than buying the other one. It's polymer frame. Excuse me, polymer lower here with the metal components inside. So it's a polymer frame with a steel slide and steel barrel and internals. And it does not have a magazine disconnect. So if the magazine is out of it and there's a round chambered in there and you pull the trigger, it's going to fire. Okay, so it makes them different. So just a kind of interesting gun. It's also got some little bit of texture here and on the front of here. If you want to, if your shooting style is different, we might want to grip it up there or something like that. Also has the decocker, and then this is the it has slide lock. So takedowns are a little different on both of them, but that's a whole nother topic. We're not going to get into that because we don't do that. Okay, so just something for you to think about. Both of these have they're full-size guns. They might be out there because people are just not clamoring probably for these. They want they want the P320s, they want the P365s, they want the whatever they are, X5s and all that kind of stuff, and all the Legions. So, maybe you'll find a deal on one of these, They're good, reliable guns. This happens to be my favorite 9mm. I shoot this one the best. When I carry it, it's comfortable. I actually use this We the People inside the waistband holster. Works very well. I also have a outside the waistband holster. Sometimes these came as kits where they had a holster with them. It also had 10 round mags originally, but this one is a 15. And you can also get magazines sometimes in 17 rounds for those. So, just to recap, and this one is 7.4 inches overall, 1.4 inches wide instead of 1.5, 5.7 inches high. It's got this little finger place here, so it makes it just a little longer, and some people don't care for that. It's 29 ounces, and the barrel is 3.9 inches long versus 4.4. That's what makes it a little more compact. But it also has a nitron finish on it and the night sights and all that. So, maybe you want the bigger, heavier, more all metal one. Maybe you want the lighter one. Both good choices, both reliable. Just to make you think, there's other guns out there you might think of. Maybe there's a Beretta 92, or maybe there's some other firearm out there. I was trying to think of some older ones that maybe they don't make or people don't think of as much anymore. That you might want to have. So just with all the inflation and cost of everything, all of us have to be cognizant of that. And so just a couple thoughts for you, and show you a couple holsters, that there are holsters out there, and other magazines and things. Of course, if you're in a state where you're restricted, then you have to follow all the federal, state, local firearms rules, laws, ordinances, wherever you live at. you know, including permitting, carry, and all that kind of stuff. So just make sure you're in compliance with all that. Remember, I'm just a hobbyist and enthusiast. Talk to your own experts. Make sure you find out what you need, you know, or what you're allowed to have. So just trying to give you some ideas to maybe think about ones other than all the, you know, Canex and TSOS and STI and all that kind of stuff, all these different guns out there to buy, and Shadow 2s, and, you know, they're all like over $1,000, a lot of them. So this is more my wheelhouse, something like that. Tree Desert Boy always says, be safe out there, whatever you're doing. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye now.